Welcome to Scatterbrained, a weekly subpod of mind controllers. I'm your host, Brandon Courture, and I'm joined by my co-host this week.
My name is Brandon C as well. Brandon Courture. I'm back.
It's the battle of the Brandons today.
Yeah. We got to pick differing opinions on something.
It's like a video game debate club. Yes, exactly. So anyways, y'all better sit back, relax if you can while we tell you about what video games and media we've been enjoying this week. And I'm not too sure how many non-American listeners we have, but damn, has this week been interesting for America. We've had primary elections, which determines our new president. And I'd imagine if
these weren't the primaries, brother.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Oh, my God.
No, these were the primaries. We'd still have a couple more months before it was decided.
True.
Really quickly, I want to speak on that to anybody who might be listening from the States that might be in a panic or might otherwise be scared. I know a lot of people that I've talked to are. There's a lot of people who are happy about this election. There's a lot of people who are on the opposite side and who are rightfully a bit worried about their future. To those people, the political pendulum always swings. And unfortunately, we're seeing a swing in the other direction. And as the British said during World War II, we need to keep calm and carry on. We need to understand that solidarity will help, and looking out for your fellow person in the immediate that you can as an individual affect is the most important thing right now, because there will be likely legislature that will restrict certain peoples. It might be very difficult as an end consumer to deal with the extra costs of things as tariffs end up going through. You will end up potentially in a worse space. But as soon as he's done with this presidency, he can't run again. You're not going to see him getting rid of term limits. That's a constitutional amendment that will likely, almost definitely not happen. The odds of that are so astronomically low. So do your best to carry on. It happened for 4 years. The country still existed. It's going to happen again. The country will continue to exist.
Yeah. Beautifully said. No, and thank you for just like jumping in and addressing that, because you said it all way more eloquently than I could.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely one of those persons who certainly was like in a despair, grieving period, like after and kind of disbelief, like as the night was going on, and then waking up to see whatever transpired. Yesterday was definitely like my biggest day of just like grief and like analyzing, and then today it's starting to become a bit more action oriented, where everyone's grieving period is going to be different for this, and how you process what is happening is going to be different. So take whatever time you need to get through that. But one of my friends said, do not let like all this distraught and despair like consume you, because then it feels like you have finally given up. And I know giving up kind of implies it's like kind of a battle, and some ways it is, depending on how you like what perspective you're looking at it. But yeah, like you said, Brandon, I think just encouraging people to organize, to take care of one another, and I don't know, just like try to be
look for a
involved in your
group that aligns with your beliefs. Join them, support their candidates that they're going to put up on the mid ballot, support their political action. As an individual, your greatest ability to influence is on the local level, right? Your city level, your county level, and your state level, because those actions are going to be more immediately apparent to you because they're more specific to where you live, and B, they're easier to affect in that you don't need all of the population to vote for your city council. Your city council, you need the people in your city. So get out there, organize, regroup, and we'll see what happens. Right now, the only thing that we know for certain, or at least that I know for certain, I'm sure there's other things that have come out, is that the tariffs will be enacted pretty quickly.
Right.
Everything else is right now up in the air in terms of anything that you think may or may not happen.
Any sort of policy he might have preached while campaigning.
The only Trump campaign promise that I have seen publicly touted is that basically on the 21st, the day after he's inaugurated, he's looking to start those tariffs.
So if you all are trying to make a big technology purchase or something, try to do it before.
A small business, I've seen stories already of steel companies, or a particular steel company, cutting their Christmas bonuses because they needed to buy a year's worth of product, because the tariffs are always passed on to the end consumer, and people who think that China is going to pay these tariffs are wild. It doesn't.
Yep.
It's not how things work.
No, absolutely not.
Anyway, video games are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about video games because that's an escape.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's the perfect escapism. But
Yeah.
kind of in a similar vein to escapism, can I get like a quick rundown of how your trip to Japan went? Like, that's where you've been the past few weeks.
Yeah. So, Japan, collectivist
Yeah.
country as opposed to an individualist country in terms of
Yes.
societal difference. You won't really see too much. Like, let's say you go to New York and you're walking through Times Square. You're going to see people trying to be influencers and trying to cause as much attention directed towards them as possible. Very few Japanese nationals are of that mindset where they feel the need to interrupt other people's time just because they feel the need to be heard and validated. They know that they're validated and they're happy where they are.
Yeah.
The culture itself is really cool. I didn't meet a single person in Japan that wasn't at least pleasant. I didn't speak too much of the language, but I knew how to say please, thank you, and I knew how to count to 3. So I could order my food. I could say thank you for my food when it came, and I could say please when I was ordering. And people were very receptive to that. Just be kind to other people. And they will be kind in turn. The actual sites that I saw were amazing. Right now is a great time to go because the yen is pretty low versus the dollar. So you get a lot of bang for your buck when you go. I had several meals that were under $8 or $9, which feels really good when you live in LA and your smallest meal purchase is going to be over 10.
Absolutely.
I missed the actual LA 10. Now it's like the LA 15.
For real.
Yeah. To people who aren't from LA, it's just the cost of a meal in LA used to be $10. You could go basically anywhere and find something on the menu, get out of there for $10. Not so much anymore.
No, it's closer to 20. But
yeah, I mean, the history of Japan was awesome. I went to a lot of museums. I went to a lot of like different old shrines and temples and various other historical monuments. A lot of statues and small places of worship in Japan. I had great reverence for the area. I did go into Electric Street in Tokyo, which is like the main technology hub. There's this amazing. There's a 9-story department store on Electric Street that is like each floor is a completely different thing, and it's huge. It's like a warehouse for each floor. Really, really cool, packed wall to wall with just stuff.
Damn, that sounds cool.
Yeah, the technology there was cool. I mean, we got served by a robot at our shabu shabu one time. You would order on a tablet. The robot would come and bring you your food, and then you'd click the robot and say, all right, we got our food, go away. And the robot would play its little song and go back to the kitchen. It was pretty cool.
Happy little thing. Yeah. We better start being polite to all the robots. Once you start getting sentient, it's over.
Always say arigato to your server robot. It's got the katana in its back compartment.
Oh, yeah. Dying to use it if you try to dine and dash there. But no, that's so cool. I'm once again still jealous that you got to go, and we're trying to plan to go sometime this upcoming year. So hopefully that yen to dollar conversion still holds strong in our favor.
Last I checked, the reason why they devalued the currency was explicitly for tourism. I don't think the yen is going to bounce back super quick anytime soon.
Okay.
But yeah, they printed a lot of money so that, at least one of the things that I saw, I don't know how 100% true this is, but they printed a lot of their currency so that they could get that tourism dollar.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
It's an interesting plan. And I was happy to spend money while I was there because everything felt cheap. And then I ended up spending like $2,500 on just like stuff and food and things. So they got my American money.
Yeah. I guess their plan worked then, because I feel like in addition to you going this year, I can't even count how many people I saw on like Instagram posting that from Japan and that they went to Japan and stayed there for weeks, not just like one, but usually like 2 or 3. And
I mean, if you're ever traveling somewhere internationally, definitely go for more than 7 days.
Yeah,
because you need a day to acclimate. You lose a day going to Japan from the States. And then you ideally would want at least one day in there to have kind of like a relaxed day where you're not really like feeling the need to like run around and hustle and bustle, and just like enjoy and slow it down. Because I had a lot of days of like going quick and fast, and then I had one day where I was just kind of chilling for most of the day. And it was really nice, serene. Also, if
Mhm.
you are going to Japan, November and particularly January is an amazing time. Right now, all the leaves are changing. But the reason why I say those 2 months is because that's when sumo happens. Sumo only happens,
damn.
I think it was like the major sumo tournaments only happen about 4 or 5 months out of the year. And November rather, and January are two of those months. So if you're going to go, now would be a
I
good
had
time.
no idea.
Yeah. There are
Okay.
smaller local sumo that happen, but the main sumo tournaments happen during those times.
Damn, that's sick. Did you get to catch a
No,
sumo
because I went
tournament?
in October. No sumo in October. Yeah,
I
I
see.
was
Yeah.
pretty distraught. I really wanted to see some sumo.
Damn.
Oh,
Okay.
also, last tidbit for Japan
Uh-huh.
for people who may be going, look up some of the more desirable museums early. Because some of the museums, their tickets are sold out literally, like the Ghibli Museum, if you're into Studio Ghibli films,
Mhm.
is sold out until next year right now.
Holy crap.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
some really cool like electric art installations museums that are also sold out for a similar amount of time.
Mm.
Definitely get those tickets early if you are planning on going, because those tickets sell out very quick.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good to know, because I know the Ghibli Museum was something on my list for whenever I go. So,
Yeah, buy
yeah.
your tickets as soon as possible. They open up at set times. Be there and hit the refresh page as their tickets are opening up.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know it was like that. I didn't know
yeah.
it was like a secret drop that you had to just be online for.
Yeah,
But
not really a secret
I
drop, but
mean, I know it's not secret.
definitely a
Yeah.
drop. Yeah, where it's like they open up this next month on this day, and you got to get your tickets as soon as they open. Otherwise, you're SOL,
Yeah.
buddy. Yeah,
Do the museums in advance.
yeah. Everything else
Spend
you
a
can
lot
get
of money on food.
day of.
Yeah.
It's really the museums that sell out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sick. Oh man, you're making me excited for whenever I get to go. But cool. Well, thank you for that rundown there. And
Mhm.
yeah, I guess we could go ahead and talk about video games now.
Video
What we're
games.
using to escape. And
Yeah.
before we do that, I also liked your Zoro costume from
Oh
One
yeah,
Piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dressed up as Rona Zoro for Halloween. And my
Yeah.
girlfriend was Nami, which was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. I forget, are you a One Piece fan
I've
then? Or
seen 950 episodes,
okay. So
but I'm not caught up, because being caught up is 200 more
it's
episodes
like,
past that.
yeah, I was gonna
So
say.
I haven't caught back up. And in part because I really like dubs as opposed to
Mhm.
subs. I like being able to like just watch or listen and not have to
Yeah.
read.
Okay.
So
And it's on a break right now, right? Like
yeah,
it's on
I
the
mean,
6-month break.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Oda's helping out with the live action, and also Oda needs time. He's been doing this since the 90s.
Yeah.
My guy could use a break. So
Yeah. I know. Yeah, and I think it was also for the dub to catch up and
mhm.
also speed up the process once it comes back, so that they aren't doing like half a manga chapter every
Per episode,
episode and
yeah,
like dragging it on. Like hopefully there's a bit more
yeah.
momentum there, because I think that's why I mostly switched from watching to reading, because the show felt like painfully slow to me once it hit.
Yeah.
Are you even in the? I know we're not a One Piece pod, but screw it, it's called Scatterbrained, so we're talking about
Yeah,
whatever.
talk about One Piece now.
Yeah.
There's a One Piece game out that exists.
Yeah, I played the demo and I was like, this was fine.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Um,
One Piece Odyssey,
One
but
Piece Odyssey. Yeah, it's like the story all the way up to Wano or something, I think.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask if you're in the Wano arc.
I'm
So
in the Wano arc, and the problem with the Wano arc when you're starting it is there's like 20 easily stories
yeah,
going on at the same time, and each episode will like focus on one, and then you go through 20 episodes, you'll be like, right, that's what Chopper was doing. I
yeah.
forgot about that. And you're
Yeah,
like,
that's who
oh,
Queen is.
how is this all
Yeah.
even going to come together? And my buddy who reads it says that
Mhm.
yeah, no, it all comes together, but it takes time. For that Wano arc is the longest arc, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I would say the Wano arc, honestly, it might be one of my least favorite because of its length. Definitely in the anime, like I know my fiance like stopped watching in the Wano arc because she was just so tired of
That
how
was me.
much it was dragging on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even blame people, but I'm glad I read it, because you could kind of just it's fully through the next arc as well in the manga, so you can speed read and you don't feel like it's dragging along too much, at least while you're reading.
Yeah, and according to Oda, the next arc after that is air quotes the last arc. The thing
Yeah.
is, Oda has an arc last a decade, so
Yes.
we'll see about that.
I'm like, I'll take that. I'll take another 5 years of One Piece before it
Yeah.
ends. But
And then we
I
just
think
get the two-piece right afterwards. So,
I
that'll be fun.
know that's
Yeah.
Luffy and Nami's son like sets off on their own adventure. No, I love how Oda has said he does not want romance in
Not
between
in the
like the
crew.
main
Yeah.
characters. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Egghead Island though, the arc after Wano is so good. It is
All right.
so good. So
Good to
at
know.
least whenever you're ready to dip your toes back in, just know
Yeah.
that you got
I'm
a
sure I
pretty
will
good thing
eventually,
after.
especially when I know that like we're nearing the end, I'll catch back up so that I can be current.
Cool.
Um,
Good. And
yeah.
then we could have our One Piece spoiler pod. I don't know what we'll call it, but we'll think of some other creative brain related name.
Yeah.
Anyways, cool. Video
And
games.
video
Yes.
games.
So I feel like I've mostly just been playing Metaphor ReFantazio still. That game is still
Mm.
fantastic. I don't know what else I could say about it that I haven't already said with like Joe and just like a solo pod. So I don't know if I really want to like dive back into it other than it keeps on getting better, and that game is
Nice.
fantastic and probably one of my favorite games of all time, definitely my favorite JRPG. And if anyone's interested, definitely check it out. The one game that I have been obsessing with that I haven't spoken about is the Pokemon trading card game, the Pocket version. Like they just put out a new app. It's called Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket because I think there's already a Pokemon trading card game online that you could download that's a bit more like the official Pokemon game, like trading card game. And for reference, I don't play the physical card game at all. Like I collected them when I was a kid. I thought the
Too
art
good.
was cool and it was
Yeah.
just fun. But yeah, I never got into the game. So I don't know. There's something about the buzz of this online. And I'm like, oh, it might be fun because you get 2 free packs every day. So I thought it might be fun just to download and at least collect the cards. But little did I know that it would become an obsession. And before I knew it, I was spending a bunch of like, I didn't spend any real money. For some reason, Google has this thing where you could take surveys
Oh yeah.
and get credit for it. So I just had like $30 in stored credit that I could spend on like in-game transactions. And I was just like, fuck it. This is what it's for. I'm
Mm.
blowing it on packs of cards. So yeah, I've spent around 10, 20 of those credit dollars in that game. There's something ridiculously satisfying about opening the cards and then trying to build a deck around it. And
Is it mostly player versus player?
it is, and I think that's the other appealing thing. It is both PvP and there's like a PvE
Mm-hmm.
section where it has different difficulty levels, and you have to like get through. Or you don't have to, but I like to get through each of the lowest one before working my way up to the next one. It goes from like beginner to master or whatever, and there's four, and each little rank will have about maybe 10 around 10 or so different themed decks that you could fight against.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even challenges against those decks, so that if you, let's say, don't have any of your Pokemon knocked out while fighting your opponent, then you get like an extra pack of cards, or you get this currency that allows you to open a pack quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that aspect's been really fun. There currently is an event going on, and like this game released last week, and there's already like this in-game event where you battle this Lapras deck, and you get this promo pack if you beat it, and then you could open like that Lapras card. That's the only way to get it right now. So it's
Nice.
like extremely rare, and everyone's trying to go after it. And yeah, and there's just so many other little mechanics on there. But it being on phone, I think, is the biggest offender. Like if this were on
Yeah.
the console or on a PC, I wouldn't be playing it. But the fact that I could just like be walking around, be outside my house, and then just open it up, open a pack, do a fight.
Yeah. While I was waiting in
It's
line to vote, I was playing my Legends of Runeterra League of Legends card game, which also
yeah.
has a new event right now. There's
Oh man,
also PvP and PvE, and
I
yeah,
I I was like, as I was playing it, I was like, oh man, do I download Legends of Runeterra too? I think I
yeah,
might, because it's opening Pandora's box for me.
yeah.
I used to be so obsessed with card games.
Mm-hmm.
I collected a bunch of Magic cards, spent thousands of dollars on Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh a bunch, and then I still have like some of my old Pokemon collection. And then I don't know what happened. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to stop. So I sold off all my collections of both Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. But
Yeah,
yeah,
games can get
this might.
expensive if you're collecting the
Yeah.
physical cards. And also, it's weird speculation. I know in Magic recently, there was a card that you could only play in a format called Commander. But then in official tournaments, the card got banned. So the card was originally like $40-50. And because now the card is literally unplayable because it's only playable in one format, and in official tournaments it's now banned, the card went from like $40-50 to like nothing, like dirt.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that cardboard stock there.
Exactly. Yeah, the cardboard
Crazy.
stuck. And some people will like speculate on like meta shifts, and so they'll buy a bunch of like a particular card, and people can make a lot of money for doing that if you know what you're doing. The
Yeah.
problem is you got to be like really well versed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to already be into the meta and then be able to predict like where the meta is going to go based off of the cards.
Predict, which, you know, you could be holding onto those cards for 10, well, maybe not 10 years, but, you know, 8, you know, 5 years.
A decent amount of time.
Yeah, maybe 10.
Do you happen to know what card that was? That was in Commander that was banned?
No, I could probably find it.
That's all right.
Yeah, in Magic.
Yeah, I still kind of follow it. I have a friend who got into it after I got out of it, so he'll still text me. And I know right now the Marvel Secret Lair dropped, which was a collaboration with a lot of Marvel superheroes into Magic. So he was really excited about that, him being a lifelong Marvel fan. And yeah, those cards look pretty fun to play around, like, and build around in the Commander variant. A quick rundown of what the Commander variant is like you have this one card that you build around, and all of the cards in the deck, all 100 cards of the deck, or 99 cards in that deck, have to like revolve around those colors of that
fit the theme.
Main card.
So one is like, oh, I like bears. I want all my cards to be bears.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
He was building a Captain America deck, which obviously is red, white, and blue colored. So all the cards have to fit into one of those colors, and yeah, it's so fun. Oh man, I shouldn't have been talking about it. I might slip up again. Yeah, I think that's my rant on Pokemon trading card game right now, and I'm probably going to download Legends of Runeterra within this week.
Yeah,
I feel it in my blood.
There's a big event going on right now for Arcane Season 2, which I'll shill Arcane. If you haven't seen it, Arcane, movie quality animation, really good story, a labor of love over the Season 1 took like a decade to make because they were really trying to make it good, and they did. And Season 2 is happening, and if Season 2 does well, or when Season 2 does well, really, they've already said the story of Arcane is ending, but they're going to make more League of Legends stuff, probably in other regions. So Arcane is in Piltover. There's, I think, like 10 other regions that they can choose from for other League stuff. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I love it. I think it's coming out tomorrow. Is that
tomorrow?
Right?
Is it that soon already? Yeah,
I think so.
I think soon,
I heard that they're doing like 3-episode chunks every week, so which is like kind of new for Netflix's like new release drops. So I believe.
Yeah, it looks like Season 2, Episode 1 is already out.
Oh, what?
Apparently, which good to know. But I'll probably wait until it's all done so I can binge it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just try to avoid spoilers in the interim. But yeah, November 9th, 16th, and 23rd are the other drops. So 2 days, and then a week, and then,
Okay. Yeah, and I think they'll probably do that 3-episode drop thing. I cannot. If they're coming out weekly, I have to consume it that week. I don't know. I feel like I'm way too susceptible to spoilers. And then I also love just reading everyone's online discourse. Like whenever
being a part of that is pretty fun.
Yeah. But that's just me. But I also totally get like wanting to wait and wanting to binge it too. Because like, especially if they end on a cliffhanger and you're like, shit, well, I need to see what happens next. I better be alive by the time the next.
What is Jace from Arcane going to do this week?
Yeah.
You know?
Jace from Arcane. I'm like,
his name.
Jace from Magic? No.
Actually, put him in League of Legends, Jace. Sorry, I'm shitposting.
No. We love it here. So it sounds like Legends of Runeterra has been at least one game that you've been enjoying this week.
Yeah, I'll also talk about the new Monster Hunter game because I was in the beta for that. It was an open beta, so saying I'm in the beta isn't like that big deal.
No, it's an exclusive party.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds, I think is its name.
Monster Hunter Wild.
Really good. Very poorly optimized. I had a lot of friends who played World and played Arise who couldn't play the game, but they have 4 months now to optimize the game for PC. Because right now it's almost entirely optimized for the PlayStation, which is fine.
Okay.
But it's a very particular set of hardware, and you could have a better PC on most metrics, but if something is optimized for a certain piece of hardware, it's just going to run bad. So one of my buddies, like really big, like played the first couple Monster Hunter games back in the day on like the GameCube and like the really early consoles. was it GameCube or PlayStation 2? Anyway, either way,
Yeah.
he was playing like Monster Hunter GU and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and all of those really old ones, and he couldn't play it, which really sucked because the game is good. The main new mechanic, well, two mechanics this time around. One is you can very easily get a dog, or it's not a dog, but it's like a lizard
like a
bird.
or...
Yeah. To pick you up when you're down and ride you around, and you can sharpen and drink potions and do all that stuff while you're on it. So it adds to mobility in combat because that thing is always like ready to pick you up. And then the main like combat mechanic is as you hit a monster, it'll open up weak spots. And then you have specific weak spot destroying attacks, which are for certain weapons really, really fun. For those who aren't aware, Monster Hunter, 14 different weapons. So you really get to choose your playstyle. And this one as well, first game, you're able to switch your weapon without going back to camp. So just in the middle of the hunt, you just get on your dog, switch your weapon out, and then keep moving on. So I think some monsters are going to be designed around that, where like they'll have one phase where a weapon that does a lot of slash will be good, and then another phase where slash won't be as good. But also they haven't released all the monsters yet, so that time will tell with that one.
Yeah. Well, man, that sounds really exciting. I forget because I haven't touched a Monster Hunter game since like the 3DS one.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of matchmaking for like fighting? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So Monster Hunter is all boss battles. Once again, speaking generally to people who might not know the game, Monster Hunter is all boss battles. It's 4-player boss battles, basically. You go in, you fight a boss for like 20 minutes sometimes, depending on how good you are. You kill it, you carve it, grab its bits, and then use its bits to make better weapons and armor and stuff. And so if you don't have friends to play with, you can play online. The monsters do scale their HP with how many players are in the lobby. So if you do want to play solo and do that, you can. Or you can play in online lobbies, and there is matchmaking.
Okay. Is there crossplay like between consoles?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There is crossplay. There was crossplay in the beta, and there will be crossplay between... I know it's coming out on PlayStation and Xbox, but it's mainly optimized for the PlayStation and PC.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, Mind Controllers, Monster Hunter beta, maybe. Are they doing another beta? Do you know?
They haven't announced it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if come January there isn't one, so that they can test some of the optimization stuff.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of people love the game, but there was a lot of people who were very upset that like, yeah, I'm running with pretty good graphics card, but this game is so CPU intensive that my CPU, which is better than a PlayStation's, can't run this game. And so I can only imagine that Capcom hopefully took their feedback. We can hope. There have been plenty of stories of games that were very unoptimized at launch, even that became more optimized over time. So I'm not I'm not dooming about being able to play with all my friends, but I'm down for a Mind Controllers Twitch stream.
Damn,
play
that would be so fun.
Some monsters.
Yeah, y'all can show me the ropes because I know Joe was really excited about that too. I didn't have a chance to ask him if he played the beta. I'll have to text him later. I'm sure he did. But actually,
there were 4 monsters in the beta.
Okay,
I was able to beat all of them.
Were you playing solo or were you?
Pretty hard. I was playing with one buddy for all of those hunts.
Oh, okay, okay. And you said one of them was a bit more challenging than the others. And...
Yeah. So there was one. It was like a lightning lizard, and he got hands. Lightning lizard got hands. We lost one of the fights, and we're like relatively veterans. I mean, I beat all of World up to Fatalis. For people who don't know what that means, that is like the hardest boss to beat. You need very optimized equipment, and you need to... It's on a timer, and a much more strict timer than your average fight. Your average fight is like a 50-minute timer, which like you'll win in 50 minutes as long as you're like continuously hitting the monster.
Yeah.
But with Fatalis, it's 20 minutes, and you gotta like pass DPS checks. And it's a lot more difficult.
Damn.
And then I beat all of Rise as well, which was the one that came out on the Switch later on PC.
Yeah.
If you've heard of Monster Hunter and heard it being like really complicated and convoluted, they've said that they want this game to be more accessible to people. In the past, Monster Hunter games have been, for lack of a better term, a bit head-ass in their design.
A little gatekeepy, maybe?
Yeah, gatekeepy. Like, you needed to know what to do. You needed to, like, do some weird, like, grinding stuff that, like, you didn't want to do. when I play a Monster Hunter game, I want to go in, I want to hit a monster with a weapon. Usually that is a very big sword.
Yeah. I was going to ask what your preferred weapon is.
Yeah, and then that's it. But older games weren't as easy to get into. World really opened up the game for a lot of people, and this game hopefully opens it up for even more.
Okay. Yeah, because that has been one of my biggest complaints, I think, of like Monster Hunter. When I used to play it, or when I tried playing it, which is almost like a decade ago now.
Yeah, those old games are hard.
Yeah. It felt almost impossible to like do a lot of it. And then I think there was... I probably went through majority of that 3DS game. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but I got... It might have been Try.
Monster Hunter Try? No.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I just remember spending like maybe close to 40 minutes on a boss and then losing, and I was like, I can't.
It feels bad.
This isn't fun.
No. And if you don't really know what you're doing and you don't have decent gear, the boss hits you once, you got to run away and heal because health doesn't come back. And well, health does come back, but it comes back slowly unless you respect for it. Yeah.
I see. So to hear you say that they're making this game be more accessible and be like a lower the barrier of entry into this, but is kind of enticing to me. And now I'm like, oh,
there's still plenty for hardcore fans and hardcore gamers. There was some really, really cool clips with World back when it was in its heyday of people going in squads of 4 and killing a boss in like less than a minute.
Whoa.
Of like just really good coordinated play.
Yeah.
And that stuff was all really, really impressive. A lot of AI manipulation and really synchronous play. But you don't need to do that. You can also just run around with your friends and scream when big monster does big attack and laugh at your friends when they die to it.
Yeah,
laugh at yourself.
That's the vibe I'm trying to achieve while playing that game.
Yeah.
You said that they added, it sounds like, some quality of life improvements with your mount pet.
Yes. That's one of the barriers of entry thing that makes it a bit easier. In most other games, like moving around the map was kind of a chore because you had to physically run there. With the pet, you can, if you're using either you can do mouse and keyboard or controller, you can just hit a button and then go to the other room really quick, grab a drink, and you'll be there by the time that it gets there because it auto runs to a destination that you select.
Oh,
which is really nice.
Sick.
Or you can like manage your inventory while it's running, and you don't have to like stop, get off, manage your inventory, and then get back on and then keep going. It's just like, while I'm going to the next place, I'm going to sharpen my weapon while I'm on the back of this thing. I'm going to craft some more health potions or whatever it is. You can do all that. No worries with that mount. And it's really easy. On PC, you just hit tab, and then the mount just comes to you and whoop, picks you up.
Oh man, okay. Yeah. It's not some item you have to like pull out and then summon it or something.
There's no long animation. It's just like as long as your character ain't dead, you hit the button and the mount will come to you.
Sick. No. Okay, I think I'm going to be on the lookout for any other beta that opens up because the game comes out in February, correct?
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. With all games these days, whenever they announce a release date, I'm always like, all right, so maybe 2 months from then, maybe 3.
Yeah, I know.
And I would always rather a game come out being optimized, being finished, and not have any game-breaking bugs. So if a developer or a studio, for my money, ever wants to take another year to finish their game, I don't care. Whenever it comes out, I'll play it. The problem is video game development takes money and they need a return on their investment, so they need to sell it at one point. But Capcom has enough money. They can fund a couple more months of development. And the better the game is at launch, the more money you make and the more your player base wants to stick with your game.
Yep.
There's very few games that have had a disastrous launch that have come back. The main poster child of that is No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
But it's very rare for a game to come out and everybody be like, this is bad.
Yeah.
And then for it to eventually become what now people say is good.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I know that's a good point, especially with like last week's news cycle with Concord like being shut down and then the studio being shut down and closed off. And it feels like that was a huge mismanagement there on multiple levels. And then,
it was like $100 million down the drain.
At least. Yeah. I think
those got paid. Good for them. It sucks to have that on your resume now. Oh yeah, I developed a game, $100 million game. Oh yeah, which one? It got shut down.
You probably heard of it and never played it. It's called Concord. You might find it on Amazon's secret level. And,
the peak players was like 700 on Steam, which is just abysmal.
I know. I'm like, man,
I don't know how you miss the bar that hard when you have all of this R&D, all of this fucking focus grouping, all of this time and like brilliant minds. They had some really good people on that project, but it just fell very, very flat. I mean, you're going into an oversaturated market for that genre anyway, and your model isn't super player friendly, so you're already shooting yourself twice in each foot with that.
Another funny thing was like people complaining about the character design as well. Like you can't really get a feel for who you're playing as or what type of personality they have. Of course, we're going to turn to like Blizzard's Overwatch because that's kind of the poster child for that hero shooter, like team-based hero shooter.
No, it's not. Team Fortress
Overwatch. Oh, yeah.
No, incorrect, sir. If you want to talk about brilliant character design, every single character you can look at a quick glance, an outline of their character, and you know exactly who that is. That's Team Fortress 2.
I agree there. I agree.
But I think what you mean. Overwatch is a lot more in the public. I'm still waiting on that TF2 update. All right, it's been years. It'll happen. It won't.
I know.
But yeah, no,
Gabe Newell.
Overwatch is definitely the more popular game and the game more people know about. I tell people every now and then, oh, you're into video games? Yeah. Oh, you play competitively? Yeah, I used to play competitive Team Fortress 2. They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh no, I'm old.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Right. Oh man. I know. I miss those days of Team Fortress 2. Or
brilliant game. It still exists. And they got rid of some of the bot problems. Play on a community server and have a good time. The biggest problem is everybody that's still playing is better than you.
Yeah,
it's really hard to like join a community server and not get your shit stomped because those people have been playing since 2007. It's 2024. They have some experience.
They got about 17 years on them.
Yeah, it's like going back to League now.
I wouldn't dare.
I played a game of League with a buddy of mine. We were talking about it, reminiscing, and we're like, yeah, let's play some fucking League of Legends. And, I was good back in the day. I'm trash now. And it's not like, I don't think that I've gotten markedly worse. Sure, maybe in the macro, but the average player base has just like grown with the game and gotten so much better over time. And that happens, I guess, with any game. The average skill level just keeps climbing as people keep playing.
Yeah, especially with any competitive game. And then you've got people optimizing every single aspect of it, and they train on days on end for that.
Your jungle route takes a minute and 24 seconds. Mine takes a minute and 21 seconds. You fucking idiot. You suck. Yeah.
So what we learned is that don't go back to these older competitive games that have been around for a while unless you want to have a bad time.
Yeah. Or you want to reminisce and play a casual mode of that game. And then you have a good time.
That's true. 1v1 TF2. Okay. Just you and a buddy.
TF2, Dust Bowl, melee only.
Yeah, exactly. No guns allowed.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh man, I'm low key. I've heard a lot of good things about Call of Duty Black Ops right now, and it's on Game Pass.
You couldn't play the game on PC for a while. Is that changed?
Oh, I haven't touched it. I'm not sure.
No, it was a kind of a joke in the community that on launch. It was very difficult to run the game because people were running into this error that wouldn't let you download and update the game. So you would go to update it, and then it would just like hold on this screen and not actually work.
Oh,
I'm sure it's fixed now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like a game of that caliber must have like patched that
pretty
instantly.
Quick.
Yeah. There's too many games right now that I'm like mildly interested in and want to jump into and like play, but don't have the time.
Crazy game. Crazy year for games.
Crazy year for games. February alone is like fucked up. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do there. There's like a new Like a Dragon game coming out. I'm a huge fan of that series.
Oh yeah, the pirate Yakuza game. That's gonna be nuts.
I know. That'll be fun. That's, I think, dropping the same day or a week before or after Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Civ 7.
Civ 7, yeah, that's the other one that was like huge. Yeah. And that's just Hunter. February. I felt like this year was going to be a tame year, trailing 2023, which I felt like was filled with a bunch of hyped up releases and a bunch of games that a lot of people loved. And then I thought 2024 was going to be calm, but nope, at least not for me. It turned out to be one of my favorite years of gaming recently. Anyways, cool. Still want to play Dragon Age, but don't really want to buy it right now. And I'm still getting through Metaphor.
I'll wait for a sale, I think, with that one. I from what I've heard, this is anecdotal from a buddy of mine that's played the game and also discourse I've seen. It's got its merits.
Sure.
But it's not Dragon Age Origins. It's
Yeah.
not the lightning in a bottle that game was. It's not the old BioWare anymore. The old BioWare doesn't exist, right? It's all the people that were at BioWare back at the heyday of BioWare RPGs.
They're gone.
Ain't there, right?
Yeah.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I saw somebody talk about how the main engine that they use over at BioWare, very few people actually really know how it works all the way because they weren't there for when it was being built. And there's only like a handful of people in the office that truly understand how the engine works.
That's not great for development.
No, but I mean, you can. I don't know how my computer works, and I use it.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I'm sure they made a fine game. The one thing I haven't heard people, I haven't heard people complain about any bugs necessarily from Dragon Age. So
only thing I've heard about is like certain moments, especially in the beginning, that like are narratively important, but you haven't gotten enough context to understand why. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a decision at one point relatively early in the game that my buddy was telling me about, and it like completely changes the rest of the game, and you have very little narrative context as to which one to choose because you haven't lived in a world. Yeah,
that's like a, what is it called, choice paralysis nightmare there, where
no, it's a big choice too. It's a very big choice, and when you choose one or the other, it locks you out of a faction vendor for the rest of the game. And you then, like, if you're like me, I'd be like, all right, what do they got in each faction vendor? You know, which and I don't want to have to look up stuff in a game. I would much rather it be a bit more natural.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. Oh no! Thank you for the warning there. Because
I'm not advertising against the game. I've heard plenty of good things about it, but I've also it's mainly that the writing has its moments of this ain't the original BioWare type.
Yeah. Oh man, I might just use that as a segue to one of the news pieces that I wanted to bring up. Speaking of original BioWare, did you play any Mass Effect games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I don't know if you saw this morning, they announced that Amazon Prime has ordered a Mass Effect TV show. And
What video game TV shows have Amazon done?
Done? Zero. Ordered, I think, Horizon, God of War, and now Mass Effect. I might be forgetting something that they've fully... Did they do Legends of the... There's a Tomb Raider show. I don't know if they did that one, though.
They did Fallout. They did the Fallout show.
Oh, duh. Oh, my God. Yeah. Show. Actually really like that show.
The Fallout show had good success.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
No. Even though I love Fallout.
It was really fun.
I did not watch it. Yeah.
You're afraid?
I guess I'm this weird... And I'll die on this hill. The Fallout series is been bastardized, and the only good Fallout games are Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout New Vegas, and that's it. And I'll die on that hill. I'll happily defend it. We don't got to get into that right now. So any new piece of Fallout media that comes out, I'm very skeptical. Like, I still have played Fallout 4. I have played Fallout 3.
Sure. But they're not good.
Every time it comes out, I feel like people miss the point.
Yeah.
I feel like, and granted, playing Fallout 1 and 2 these days, if you're not into those kinds of games, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to sit through it. It's hard to get into. But those games have some of the best writing, and they make you really think about philosophy and how your actions affect. Let's just go. I believe this is Fallout 1. There's this town that you get to pretty early on in the game, and you have to choose between letting this old-timey sheriff bring order to the town or letting the corporation bring order to the town. And there is a very good reason for the corporation to get a bit more power, because right now everybody is out of work. There's no business in the town, and the old sheriff wants to keep things the way they are. And it would be rather regressive to say everybody keep staying in squalor just for the sake of having not a corporation in power. But the corporation will have some problems, so it really makes you like examine these choices. And I believe there are one or two other options that you can choose, but those are like the main two choices you're presented with initially. And you have to like genuinely think about how your actions would affect more than just yourself, but everybody in the town.
Whoa.
Whereas modern Fallout games, you have the sarcastic option.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what Fallout is about. Fallout is a heavy think piece about American nationalism, as well as nationalism in general and
Mm-hmm.
what even being a citizen means and how you help your fellow people, or maybe how you don't, or how you just survive. Survival is a big part of that game. Surviving of the species, surviving of yourself. Anyway, I could talk about Fallout for a really long time.
Damn, no. I appreciate it. We're gonna have to save this for another pod for sure. But I appreciate your view on it, and I feel like what you just described right now is already more compelling than anything I saw in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
So you just
my son. Oh, do I go with my son, or do I go with literally everybody else who isn't with him? And my son is a part of this like techno-fascist group, but it's not like there's no real ramifications there. It's just cool. Anyway, there's nothing like you go. Okay, one more aside. Fallout 3. Okay. You get a choice pretty early on. There's spoilers for anyone who hasn't played Fallout fucking 3 yet. You get a choice. There's a town called Megaton. It is called Megaton because there's a megaton nuclear bomb in the middle of it. You get a choice pretty early on. Do you want to kill everyone in the town or not? And that's a big moral choice.
What?
There's no positive really for killing everyone in the town with a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
but you could do it.
But you could just go see an explosion. I don't know.
Morality. Are you a good guy or are you a bad guy? That's not what morality is. Morality isn't good or bad. Nobody, even the most deplorable people, unless they're like truly, truly psychotic, don't think of themselves as bad people. Right? Like a dictator in a war-torn country thinks he's bringing some sort of order to the land, and he views that in a positive light. Nuking a fucking town just to nuke it is considered a big moral choice in that game.
Oh my god.
Fallout 3's got its problems. It's okay. It's okay. We have Fallout New Vegas.
Right. And then we're never going to get anything of that caliber from Fallout again, probably, but we'll let it let it die up there.
You need some really good minds. The lead writer on his LinkedIn page says, "I was the lead writer for Fallout New Vegas. Thank God." Because it was such an amazing, impactful game, and he knew that he was doing it a good service, and he did.
Clever dude.
Anyway,
damn. Has he written anything since then?
That's a good question. Let me go.
I'm like, as you're talking about this, if you ever wanted to do one of like the fuller episodes where it isn't Scatterbrained, where you wanted to do like a podcast essay on Fallout, I feel like you got your topic and you got your like arguments laid out already. So I could see this easily being like a good one. Did you find something for the writing?
Hang on, because I'm trying to find his name. Yeah, John Gonzalez. Here it is. Writer, Fallout New Vegas. Apparently, he's the narrative director for the Horizon series.
Whoa, really?
And Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. He wrote story for, and the Horizon series.
Okay.
I've heard bad things about the gameplay. I haven't heard anything bad about the writing.
Yeah, the gameplay's pretty repetitive, but the writing wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I think when you're working with an IP that explicitly is about moral quandary and survival versus a brand new IP, it can be easier to not have to think about so much stuff because you already have a lot of the setting established, so you can focus on stuff.
That's a good point.
But either way, John Gonzalez, fantastic individual.
Shouts out to John Gonzalez. That's cool.
Shout out to the homie.
Yeah. Well, I know we had there was one more other news thing, but I mean, there's not really too much to discuss with it other than more Nintendo Switch 2 news. They said that there's going to be backwards compatibility with Nintendo's successor with the previous console, pretty much saying Switch 2 can play Switch 1 games, which is something we all, I feel like, knew already, but it's nice to have that confirmed.
Knowing, I guess in the past,
in the zeitgeist, I guess.
Yeah, in the zeitgeist, in the past, Nintendo has always had backwards compatibility for one console, just about, except from Wii U to Switch.
Yeah.
So like Wii could play GameCube. Well, I guess GameCube couldn't play N64, so maybe not quite. But like,
at least in the past 2 decades,
Game Boy Color could play Game Boy, right? That kind of stuff. So it makes an amount of sense. And right now, the Switch is the most selling console of all time. Has it beaten the PS2 yet?
Not quite.
It hasn't beaten the Wii yet, huh?
No, I think
the Wii was number 1.
No, PS2 is number 1, I believe, and I think it's number 2. I think Switch is number 2, and I think it still is number 2. Yeah, I think lifetime console sales, the PS2 is PS2, like 350 million.
And actually, Nintendo DS and then the Switch. Yeah. The Nintendo DS has 154 million units sold, whereas the PlayStation 2 is 155 million.
Okay. And then the Switch is what, 140?
146. Yeah,
Okay.
146.
Okay. Oh man, they're gonna have to move like roughly 10 million in the next 6 months or so, or maybe a year.
Yeah.
I would give it a year until Switch 2 comes out. I
Yeah.
wonder if
I
they
mean,
could
we'll
do
see
that.
if Switch beats it out. But I mean, Switch and Switch 2 will definitely beat PS2. I mean,
combined
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
The Switch is such a great console because you got the little Mario guy on it and you can take it wherever you want.
Yeah.
And you can't get Mario on anything else. So
Nope.
therefore it
Perfect
will
formula.
sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, we don't have too much time. But really quick aside,
I know.
the leadership at Xbox really need to take a good hard look at what Nintendo does, because Nintendo, all of their games basically are exclusives. There's some cross-platform games, and any game that Nintendo makes is a Nintendo exclusive. And exclusives do sell consoles, as seen in the Switch. The hardware is cool. People like walking around with a Switch. I'm not saying that. The any console that you can walk around with is going to do decent, as the Nintendo DS has the second most of all time.
Yeah.
But Xbox right now is in a very sad state because PlayStation still has some really great exclusives.
Yeah.
And Xbox has Halo.
That's not even exclusive to, or
Not even
feels like it's
exclusive.
not
on
going
PC
to
now.
be after a while. Yeah, I know. I think with the Xbox, it felt like they were already trending downhill, and then they felt like they needed to do something kind of radical in order to save themselves. And I think it was just like picking a lane and like trusting in it. And it seems like they picked the wrong lane here. It feels like instead of, I don't know, just doubling down on their exclusivity and making their own console more enticing, they're like, oh, well, why don't we just make our software more accessible for everyone? And therefore we might get more sales.
Gamer. I like being able to play the Master Chief Collection,
But then they're talking about like Indiana Jones coming to PlayStation. I think it is coming to PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Or have they announced that, or is it still just a rumor? But and then I know there's and I don't really care enough either, because like the game doesn't look great. I feel like I've already talked about it on here, but and then I believe I saw some rumors of like Halo coming to play, like a future Halo title coming to Sony consoles as well. And like,
that'd be wild.
Yeah.
That'd be wild. Especially considering Bungie jumped ship from Microsoft to PlayStation and have been making Destiny for PlayStation and PC. That's interesting.
Didn't they depart from Sony as well recently, like in the past year or so?
I don't know.
I vaguely remember hearing that, because I remember hearing when they got bought by Sony and were like part of the Sony's IP, but I thought I saw that they left or were planning on leaving. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way,
when I searched Bungie news, the first hit I got was Idaho company's Bungie jump from Casper crime scene leaves people shocked, sad. So I don't know.
That's the Destiny news we were hoping for.
Anything could happen.
That Iowa crime scene, what?
I don't know.
Or Idaho?
Yeah. People were shocked and saddened over the weekend.
Damn. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Shouts out to anyone living in those states. Idaho or Iowa.
Okay. Shout out to those people. I hope you're going to be okay. And I know you will be. Yeah, I know you will be.
We're going to recover from this.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to do it for us this week on Scatterbrained. Keep calm and carry on. That's some good words to end on. But if you like what we're doing here, be sure to rate and review on whatever podcast listening app you're using. That definitely helps us out. So thank you so much for taking the time on doing that. And if you have any financial means to do so, join our Patreon. It's like a $2 tier, and that'll help out me, Joe, and Brandon. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, any social media. I made a Blue Sky account. Like, do you know what Blue Sky is? It was like the Twitter alternative that someone made in order, like, once Twitter was bought out by Elon, they, of course, it felt like a bunch of, anyways, it's a thing. It's a thing. Sometimes people post on it. So I made an account on it. So go check us out on Blue Sky. But anyways, everyone, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening, and be kind to each other. And thank you, Brandon, for joining me.
Happy to be here.
All right, y'all. Until next week. Bye-bye.